I want your favorite mid-round picks. How about, let's start with one. We'll do one from each of you. Dave, you can go first. You give me a list of some of your favorite mid-round picks. Who would you like to highlight?
I would like to highlight the same guy that I first spoke of on the last podcast we did, Heath, and that would be J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore. We're excited about all the moves that the Ravens made this offseason and what it means to the long-term impact for Lamar Jackson. I think there's a good long-term impact for J.K. Dobbins as well. 24 years old, metrics off the charts from last year. Fantasy production wasn't so great. He was just above 10 PPR points per game. In his last 4, it was a little bit better than that. It was like 11 and a half, somewhere close to that. But if defenses have to start respecting the pass a little bit more in Baltimore, and the Ravens did nothing to really improve their running back room this offseason, I think there's room for Dobbins to have the type of year that we were hoping that he would have. This is one of those players that I was talking about earlier, where we're drafting them in round 4 and 5, but next year they might be a second or third round pick.
How many catches for Dobbins if he plays 17 games?
I'm going to set the over-under at 27.
Okay. Heath, over-under. 27 catches for Dobbins.
Yeah, I was just going to, the one sheet I didn't have pulled up was my running back projections because I was getting ready to talk about a wide receiver as my favorite. But that seems just a little bit low because I do think they're going to throw the ball quite a bit more than they have in the past. And I think Dobbins has been close to that pace maybe last year. So I will say Dobbins is, nope, I've got him lower, 21.
He had 7 catches in 8 games last year. But 2 years ago, when the Ravens did throw the ball more, when Dobbins was hurt, and they had terrible running backs, Devontae Freeman did have 34 catches in 16 games. But they are typically, they've been bottom 4 in running back targets each of the last 4 years. New offensive coordinator, though, maybe things will change.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change that much, just because what does Lamar do when his first target downfield isn't open?
Yeah.
Well, it would be if they have more designed pass plays to the running backs.
Right. But right. So like, I think Dobbins can set a career high there, but his career high is only 18 catches in a season. So your 27 might be too high. No, I feel like a moron.
Dobbins is a round 5 pick, RB 17. Actually, now it says he's RB 19, but
falling fast.
I'm looking at okay, I think things have changed actually in the link that we were looking at, the PPR consensus rankings for fantasy pros, but he's going right in the same range as Miles Sanders, who's someone Heath had on his list. I know, Heath, you're going with Sanders over Dobbins. Easy, right?
Yeah, but I'm a lot higher than on Miles Sanders. I think where Dobbins is going is I've got him at 57th overall, so I'm probably very close to where he is. I'm about 2 rounds higher than that on Sanders.
All right, Dave, how about you, Miles Sanders or J.K. Dobbins?
Currently have Dobbins over Sanders, but I get why you'd go with Sanders over him simply for the reception upside. The fact that if the 27 is the number for Sanders, I think that's an easy over. He's been over that in 2 years of his career and really close to it in a third season.
Yeah.
I've got Sanders at 36.
Sure. Like 37 would probably be the good number for Sanders. And I'll be completely honest, he could blast that number. He could get close to 45, 50 and get in there and catch a bunch of passes in this offense.
I don't even know what is the argument for Dobbins over Sanders, that he'll be on a better offense.
That's one.
That he'll average more yards per carry, because he's been 6 yards per carry as a rookie and 5.7 yards per carry last year. So he's been incredible at that. But what else,
I mean, the other factors are that Sanders, I don't want to make you go against Sanders, Heath, because he's your guy. There's a chance that Sanders doesn't stay healthy for 17 games like he did last year. I think it's very unlikely he scores 11 touchdowns like he did last year. It's unlikely he's going to get 0 like he did the year before, but 6, 7 touchdowns, I think that's well within range for Sanders. And I think Dobbins can beat that. I think Dobbins can get to 10 on a really good year.
And see, that's just a difference in the projections. I think I have Sanders projected for 10 and Dobbins for 7. So there's not a strong enough history for Dobbins to make a good projection on his touchdowns.
Is there what's the history on Sanders? Because before last year, he had 9 career rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I just view this as they went out and made him the highest paid running back in the free agent class and came close to guaranteeing him 3 years. Like, put a significant investment in him, and Chuba Hubbard is the number 2 running back on the team. I just don't think it's going to be like Philadelphia where Jalen Hurts and Boston Scott stole touchdowns. I think he is their guy.
I don't even know how you would use previous year's touchdown totals for Sanders to project for this year. But I'll tell you this, for Baltimore, the last 4 seasons, those are the Lamar Jackson seasons, not Jackson's rookie year, but beginning with his MVP season. Here are the Baltimore running back rushing touchdowns: 14, 17, 14, and then last year only 9. And they were horrible. I mean, they had one of the worst offenses in football without Lamar Jackson last year. And that's actually when Dobbins got healthy and had that 4-game stretch where he was pretty good. Okay, let's get Heath's guy. Heath, who's your favorite mid-round pick or one you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I hate to do the same thing Dave did and talk about the guy we talked about on the Dynasty show, but I do love him for redraft also. So I'm going to say Jahan Dotson. He is wide receiver 41 in round 8, I believe was what I saw. And I just don't see that big of difference between him and Christian Watson. I talked about this a lot yesterday. They're very similar rookie seasons. Dotson was a first-round pick. He's a year younger than Watson is. That's why I like him more in Dynasty. But for redraft purposes, you look after he got healthy the end of the year, his last 5 games on pace for 71 catches, 1,170 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And he came into the NFL ready to go, was playing 87% of the snaps or more in his first 3 games. Now, Carson Wentz was playing quarterback at that time, and if you remember, Carson Wentz only had eyes for Terry McLaurin. There was not a lot of target share available for Jahan Dotson early in the year. He was mostly used in the red zone, but he has had some glowing things to say about Sam Howell. I see his target share ticking up every time he speaks publicly about how much he likes Sam Howell. And I think that there's an underrated chance that he's the number 1 wide receiver, or at least a 1A, 1B situation with Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I mean, give me that 17-game pace for Dotson in his last 5 games.
71, 11, 70, and 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's better than Watson, except for the touchdowns. Watson was on pace in the last 8 games, which was his healthy stretch, of 66 catches, 1,111 yards, 15 touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown, maybe 2 actually in that stretch. I think
he did have one, a 46-yarder, I think.
Yeah.
Fantasy points per game, he was considerably better than Dotson because of the rushing production, I think. But the other thing is, I think the downgrade from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love is probably bigger than the downgrade from Carson Wentz / Taylor Heineke to Sam Howell.
Sam Howell / Jacoby Brissett.
I don't expect there to be any Jacoby Brissett, but that is possible, yes.
And they are going, it's such a different value. So Jahan Dotson right around wide receiver 40. Yesterday when we looked at this link, he was wide receiver 41. In fact, about an hour ago, he was wide receiver 41. Now I'm looking at the same exact link, which is the Fantasy Pros PPR consensus rankings. He's wide receiver 39. So
seems like somebody updated their rankings and moved up Jahan Dotson. They've probably been listening to the Fantasy Football Today Dynasty show.
Christian Watson, 66th overall on this page. Jahan Dotson, 96th overall. So good value there.